Hello, everybody. Hopefully, everybody can hear me okay. If you do come into the chat, please let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm just going to work on more on my building this block here. Trying to remove big clumps of the pigment out of a couple of places. I want to get it ready for the advertisements and posters that I want to do before the final dusting. I'm going to have to use some white spirit for that part. Really want to get two of these done this weekend so I can start on some of the larger buildings. Those who are new, this is for a Fallujah 2004 board that I'm working on. As soon as I get the, this is more like market. I've got two, what I'm calling blocks, city blocks, and this is more market stalls. We've got other accessories that get added in the alleyways against buildings, that kind of stuff. Piles of garbage, cardboard boxes, propane tanks, fuel drums, that kind of stuff. Mostly propane tanks, because you could see propane tanks, everything seems to be run on propane in that area of the world for cooking and stuff like that. Turn this around. On this side. Hey, it's Mutt. How's it going, bud? Just working on some of my buildings. Yeah, these are going to be nice. All the roofs all come off too. I got to magnetize this one. It's got holes for magnets. And then some of them are, they just sit inside there. I'm just trying to do some more weathering today. I did a bunch yesterday. I'm going to be doing posters and advertisement on the buildings tomorrow. And then a little bit of more detail, and then the final weathering, and then sealing the pigment on. Somebody asked me yesterday how I seal my pigment on, and I use hairspray, of all things. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm still figuring out this restream and the different things I can do with it. I had my kid helping me the other day to test it. think I got too much on some of these roofs. I'll have to remove it. Every time I clean something, I find stuff. I'm like, hey, where did that come from? Or, oh, I forgot I had that. Gotta weather my air conditioners a little bit more. They look too clean. I want these buildings to look really good. Hey, Charles. Thanks for coming in. I want these buildings to look fairly realistic, so when I do the pictures, they stand out. Okay. That's a good printer, that Elegoo Mars 4. I've heard really good things about it. Use some white spirit so I can remove some of this stuff on the roof. I don't want to remove it all, but I want to blend it in. Yes, sleep's an issue always with me too. Do, 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 do. Let's see who else shows up today. We had a few people yesterday. Dry. My research tells me that everything in the city is always covered in dust because of sandstorms and stuff. I've got some small Coca-Cola and Pepsi bottles that I'm gonna put in corners where they've blown in. I'm only gonna do a few. I don't want to go too overboard. yeah, like I said, I'm gonna get it to the point today where I can cut out the posters and advertisements and stuff and start putting those on the buildings. And then tomorrow I can do a little bit more weathering, and I've got some other accessories that need to be hooked on to the buildings. Like I've got some water. I don't even know what you call them. They put them on top of their roofs in that area of the world where they store their water in them and stuff like that. My other block building has these plastic ones, and then I've also got solar water tanks for on some of the buildings and stuff too, and more satellite dishes as well. Yeah, apparently Fallujah is known as the city of mosques, but they have time periods during the year where you can't see. The sandstorms are so bad. Those roofs are starting to look better. I printed off some cool stuff this week. I've got this roller that does ruined tile floors. So I'm going to try that out this week. I printed some other ones for some other projects, not this one, but I did the Spanish tile. I forget what kind of tile that's called, but yeah. And then I've got different kind of stonework. So I printed those off. I'm going to give those a try and see how they work. Hello, Hexy. Just working on some scenery for my Fallujah table. I figure this is the best time to come and do it before I have to go make my wife's dinner before she goes to work. I gotta wait for that to dry. Okay. After I get these two market sections done, I'm gonna work on a mosque, I think, because I have a few mosques to do. Some of that. Yeah, she's a nurse, so she works 7 at night till 7 in the morning at the hospital. I wonder if that's where Bill's wife teaches. Does Bill's wife teach at that school? I'm trying to remember which school he says his wife teaches at. couple places I missed with some pigment. Okay. I know that my kid and his wife had a long conversation about bugs and the types of beetles and bugs that you have in Arizona. My parents love Arizona. Actually, a lot of Canadians love Arizona. Okay, I guess I gotta let that dry. Let's put this out of the way. Pick this one up. This one has the posters and stuff put on it already. Like I've got things like Pepsi signs and Coca-Cola. I got like rugs on the roof with tables. I've got political signs on the sides. More garbage piles and stuff. I learned with this one, it's best not to attach too much of the debris on the board itself. It's too awkward to paint for one. Plus, it makes more sense to have it to be movable, because then you can just get past it and change the table look all the time. Yeah, I know some of the ladies I worked with at the library. They've got retirement homes in Arizona with their husbands. And they sit out on the golf course a lot. Yeah, these are starting to look really good. I'm going to grab a different one here and I'll show you. Just move this one. I'll put this one in camera. I'm pretty sure you guys will remember back in the late 70s, early 80s, they had those cork placemats. And on one side, it would be like some kind of flowery thing or something like that. And that's what I base my buildings on, because the thrift store locally had these placemats and they're cork on the other side. So that's what I used to base my buildings on. And here, let's place this one on here. Okay. Another building. And all the gates for the into the compounds. They all, oops, this one's stuck. They all open and close. And then anywhere there's bricks that have been blown down, I've added some piles. I didn't want to add too much because it's awkward when you put the miniatures on there. You just want to make the slight effect and look like it looks like it's damaged and stuff like that. With my rules, the clutter, as you call it, the scatter scenery and stuff like that, it's worked into the rules. So, but then I got all the roofs all open, all the floors come off, and these ones are all will be magnetized because they all have holes to magnetize them. And same with this. And I've tried to incorporate their stairwells as well. Let's flip this around. Either they're on the outside or I've tried to put them on the inside too. So here, let's lower that. So there's balconies and all kinds of stuff. This one I've started weathering the bricks and stuff. And I think right now I had to go out and buy a 2-foot by 2-foot piece of MDF that's, I think, 5 mil thick. And that's going to have a ruined apartment building on it. And then I've got 2 mosques done, printed. One's a small one, and then one's a large one. I might do one more, but I've got to get playtesting. I got to get pictures done too. And I've got a gas station. I've got 2 other buildings that are kind of similar like this. What else do I got? I've got quite a few more buildings. I've got a couple government-looking buildings as well. I have to cover a 5-foot by 9-foot table. We play fairly large games online. I've got, usually when we play test, I've got 3 cameras going. Because I don't play test. The only person that I play test locally with is my kid. Most of the local gamers, they're not into modern. Yeah, I've got a 5x9 foldable ping pong table that I use. Most of the modern games, anything from like World War II on, and I find most of the like Cold War Spectre operations, anything like that, it's always squads, and that's it. My game is, you can play squad, but it's made for bigger games. Like I don't want to I don't want to play the I'm leading 4 guys. That's my models. 4 guys. That's it. That's all you get. I want to play the games where I'm commanding more than a platoon. I find that's where a lot of games aren't going. They want to play the small stuff, and I don't really want to do that. I want to play platoons and larger. And I want to make it faster, because I find that some of the games go into too much detail. spider web on it. What the heck? Oh, there we go. Waiting for this stuff to dry is like, holy cow, it's painful. I think some people think I'm a little bit nuts for putting in doors that actually work, you know. Yeah, well, it's the first campaign book. I'm calling them campaign books because they every book will always have the rules in it. Because I know people put out campaign books and it's you have to have the rule book and then you got to buy this book if you want to play this campaign. I I just want to make a book where the rule you I only want to play this campaign, but I don't want to buy a separate book. Oh, well then you buy the campaign book has the rules in it. So, and I'm trying to work on the card interrupt um, action because the game does not have turns. The game does not use tape measures or measuring implements. It's when you move, you declare you're moving a fire team or a squad, and you move that to a piece of cover, and that's how it works. Visible within sight piece of cover. And if your opponent has things that he can do to interrupt, like he's got eyes on, where he can see your fire team, like let's say running across a street, he can choose to do an interrupt. And that means he steals the initiative away from the other player if he does damage or suppresses or, you know. So I hate the fact that you play a game and good example is this is GW games where you've got a science fiction type game with lasers, and that laser only can shoot 12 or 24 inches. And it just doesn't make any sense. Or if you're playing a modern game and you know how far a bullet can go, and yeah, it's got 6-inch range or 12-inch range, and it's just like I shake my head every time. I get it. That's why they're trying to do it. But I don't think it's necessary because unless you're like in the middle of a desert, even with a desert, there's undulations of the ground and stuff like that. And the ground's not just perfectly flat. That firing a weapon, there's gonna be something in the way, like a telephone pole, garbage, cars are in the way. There's smoke from something on fire. So I like to take those things into account when playing the game because I think that, you know, it's kind of silly to have a modern weapon that can only shoot what feels like a few meters. Is that dry? Nope. I'm also building some of my Plains Indians as well. I'm trying to get those ready for September. Well, I like the idea of making it realistic but fast paced. And I find with some games that are modern, they either go way too far in the extreme of detail that it slows the game down so much that it's not that fun. Um, and then some games dumb it down so much that it just feels like you're throwing dice, and it's just the dice that are determining the game. It's not your movement, it's not the actions you take, you know. And with my game, with this first book, I've put in things that were I've watched a lot of documentaries, I've read a lot of books about it. I've talked to a couple people that were there in 2004, and things like dysentery were an issue. Things like not having enough water were an issue. Things like getting cut off and trapped in buildings were a serious issue. Um, Insurgents making bunkers in stairwells, um, sandstorms. I was talking about sandstorms earlier. Um, it's just that with with the insurgents, because they're we know that the Marines and the U.S. Army soldiers in Fallujah had so much firepower, and the insurgents, they didn't have that much firepower. So it's not an idea of you think the Americans are going to win every time, or the hi Wargaming China. Um, but what I'm trying to get across is the fact that your insurgents pop up from nowhere because they made rat holes going from one building into another building, or room to room, or coming up through the ground because they dug tunnels. Um, and you think you've cleared a building, and then all of a sudden they come up behind you again. So my thing is I want the American player to go, oh, well, I got all this firepower, I'm going to win all the time. No, you're not. You could lose what you're supposed to do. Like, you have an objective before the game starts. Like, it might be clearing 2 city blocks and clearing the buildings. But when the insurgents are always popping up out of nowhere, or something happens and you lose communications, or you get trapped in a building because the insurgents have gotten bunkers and all kinds of other stuff set up, so they were prepared for you. Where are the werewolves? I'm working on that one. It's a different campaign book. No, I'm planning on doing. This is the first book. I wanted to get it out because November is the 20th anniversary of the actual battle. We're working on some preliminary stuff. Every time I'm writing something else, I'm working on making notes for other books. There's probably going to be a what if Cold War book. There's probably going to be an Afghanistan book, probably based on Operation Medusa, which is like a Canadian one. I'll probably add some American operations in that as well, and British. What other ones have we've actually played Star Wars with it, the rules, and it worked out really fun. So we might do some kind of science fiction thing. The Afghanistan one, I've already started printing buildings for villages. Started drawing up the opium fields, how to do them, looking at pictures and stuff like that. That'll be next year sometime though, like 2025. I think this year the idea is, because of all the delays, because of an idiot playtester, now we're like we're more than 3 months behind. We're like 5 months behind now. I'm really pushing to get it done for November. It might be the end of November, but it'll be November. And it'll be a print on demand, probably through Amazon and what's the other? War Games Vault. And yeah, I'll be trying to figure out like mountainous kind of like stuff. And the other thing with my rules is you don't have to play it with 28 millimeter miniatures. You could play it with 10 mil. You could play it with 15 mil, 20 mil. You don't even have to necessarily base them individually. You can, but you can also base them as like a fire team is your smallest element that you move. So a fire team, depending on the country, is 3 to 5 people. Just depends on the organization. But if you have, if you want to represent a fire team as one base, you can do that. If you want to represent it as actual individual bases, you can do that. Wish this pigment would dry a little bit faster. Still showing wet, that it's wet. Wargaming China, you at work today? Probably gonna have to go pretty soon. I gotta cook my wife her dinner, make sure it's all cooled off and packed away before she leaves. I've actually started automating a lot of my social media and stuff, like my Facebook and my Instagram and stuff, and it's a lot easier to deal with now, posting stuff. Working on these after the chat later tonight. Okay, see you later, man. Good luck. Yeah, printing some crew commanders for the top of this one. I just got to figure out which one I want to use. So I'm gonna try to get those done and up on the website. I started selling some of my stuff that are excess to my needs that I printed, and then I'm like, oh, I've got too many of them, or I don't need it now. So I'm just, instead of just tossing it or something like that, I'm just painting them up. Yeah, just us, I guess. I don't know if Charles is still here. I'm looking forward to seeing the new patrol boats. When I get to Vietnam, then I'll have I've got I think, let's see, one, two. I've got a lot of River Rhine stuff in 28 mil. I've got a monitor, and I've got 2 converted landing craft. One's got a helicopter deck on it. And then I've got a Swift boat. And then I've got a Navy SEAL insertion boat and a bunch of other stuff. Everybody thinks I'm nuts for playing a River Rhine game at 20 mil, but it just looks so cool. Well, I think I'm going to have to call it a day because I don't think this stuff's going to be dry in the next 15 minutes. So I'm going to go start my wife's dinner for her work tonight. Thank you for coming in. And I will probably be back at the exact same time tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Okay, Wargaming, I'm going to let you go, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye, everybody.